So you're thinking of visiting Thailand. Well, these are 1 month of expenses that you can expect if you're visiting during the high season. I'll preface this video by stating I went during a high season. I went in the month of December, very busy tourist time of year. Prices were a little bit higher. You can get some of these costs down, but I'm also of the mind I'm pretty frugal. I don't drink alcohol often, and yeah, I was usually pretty conservative going into this trip. That being said, I'm going to recommend everybody take a little bit extra, because especially for your first time there, you're not really going to want to be as frugal as you probably have to be all the other times of the year back home. This 1 month summary is kind of a estimate of what you can kind of calculate for yourself if you go, but I'll start with the kind of basic expenses that everybody will have when planning this trip, such as their passport, their airfare, and accommodation. So my passport I bought like 5 years ago, and that was before the pandemic, and then the pandemic happened and I never got to use it until last year. So I don't remember paying as much as it is now, but now it's $130 in my state. I don't know if that might vary state to state, so just go online to the government website where you will apply for your passport, and it'll tell you there. That was $130 today is what it says. And if you're traveling less than 60 days, you don't even need a visa to visit. So that's free if you're going to be there less than 2 months. However, I still might recommend most people look into a tourist visa so you can extend that up to like 6 months, depending on how much time that you're able to find for yourself. The airfare then. So I mentioned I went in high peak season in December. I left January 9th, December 9th, I think. And I booked my flight through a third-party booking system, which was Chase Travel. I got some points back in return, which helped actually buy some of the products I took with me on that trip. So that was kind of a good cash back system that worked for me for that time. And for that time of year, that's just what the cost was, about $1,400 for a round trip ticket. And that had me I had to drive to Denver first, so that was part of my transportation cost, which was $100. Then my flight from Denver to Seattle to South Korea, and then South Korea to Bangkok. So I had a couple layovers in there. It wasn't the most pleasant series. It was a long day, I'll just put it that way. But that's what you're going to expect if you travel that time of year. So airfare, taxi. The taxi from the airport to Pattaya, that's actually a reasonable deal. You could either take a bus for about $5, I think, maybe a little extra if you have bags and stuff. But you can also take a taxi for about $40. And that's like a 2-hour commute between Bangkok airport and Pattaya, but at least the taxi will take you directly to your hotel. So if you're carrying luggage and stuff, that might be like the most convenient way and probably worth it for a lot of Westerners. But don't shy away from the bus either. I rode the bus a couple times, and I think the buses are comfortable, a little more hectic, and you got to plan your ticket and such maybe. So not everybody loves doing that part. But for the price and the cost, like, the bus is a very awesome way to travel around Thailand in general. And all the ones I was on had good aircon, so that might suck if you have an older bus that only used fans or something, but my bus experiences were good. So if you're really trying to be frugal, it's like a $5 ticket from Bangkok to Pattaya. Let's talk about the hotel then. So we arrive at the hotel. I decided to book mine through Airbnb. I still would maybe recommend some of you do that for your first trip. It just is a little bit easier. Plus, I also purchased a little bit of extra travel insurance, so if something bad were to happen, I could be a little more protected at least. So I did have to make a claim about something that I'll discuss in another video about why I stayed longer than a month. But well, I'm still waiting to hear back if they're going to cover some of those expenses or not. But I paid about 600 and what's it say? 625.70. That's a little high for what you can typically get in Thailand. But for that time of year and for the convenience and safety and stuff, the way I justified it before going, I was like, well, I'm kind of paying that now, and I'm living in a shitty apartment with mold and stuff that needs fixed. The plumbing don't work very well. Like, this place was at least modern, a little bit smaller, but it still had a full kitchen, bathroom, everything I really needed for my whole month staying there, plus a washing machine on the balcony. So it was decent value for what I got, but you probably could find cheaper is what I'm saying, especially if you go in a different time of year. So that was 625. The electricity, I was actually blown away by, because we were using like 2 air cons sometimes. I was sometimes editing on my laptop, but also watching movies while I'm in the hotel on my laptop. And what we had to do was pay a 5,000 baht deposit up front when we first got there. And then he said at the end of the month, they would check the bill and they'd reimburse the rest. And I thought, well, maybe, that could be setting me up as a scam or something that you sometimes hear about. But no, honestly, the total only came to about 15, what'd I say? It's like 1,500 baht, or about like $45, $46 is all for a whole month of electricity. So, and that my apartment did come with Wi-Fi. So all those expenses, it was like $672 for my Airbnb for 1 month. Let's talk about food now. So I didn't keep every receipt because my eating habits were weird. I have some health issues. So there's some days I wasn't eating much. There's other days I was feeling great and enjoying the food. So my favorite dish, one of my favorite dishes there, was just the chicken fried rice. And that's one of the cheapest menu options you can get there. They like add eggs and vegetables in it and fish sauce. It's really good. Sometimes you can find that as cheap as like 65 baht, and sometimes up to, depending on what all comes with it. I know I wasn't probably spending more than like 120 per plate most of the time. And for the total bill most of the time, because I ended up meeting a friend there. I was buying her dinner quite often. So the food expenses, I kind of had to double a little bit. But all in all, I just still don't think we were paying more than like 250 to 300 baht per meal. And we kind of only eat like 1 meal a day, and then maybe some snacks from 7-Eleven or some fruit or whatever. So I just kind of estimated, like, let's say I spent up to 300 baht per day. That's like $9, a little less, $8.93. So times that by 30, about $268 for food. Give or take, and I'm gonna get into a little bit of extra expenses before the end of this video, because there were, like I said, moments I really didn't eat much at all that day, but there were moments I did probably have a couple meals that day, so maybe we were looking closer to 500. So it'd probably average out between about 300 baht per meal, I would have to guess, for myself. And then, like I'm saying, this is for 2 people most of the time. So 268 for 2 people. I was living frugally in America for quite some time to save up for this trip, and I was spending about $50 a week for myself, so almost $200 a month, trying to eat healthy, but definitely not as fresh or as healthy as all the chicken fried rice and fresh papaya and mangoes and all the fruit everywhere there. That was delicious. All right. I'll get into a little bit of the extra expenses just so you know the cost of these things, and it's kind of up to you to determine how often you have self-control to buy these extra pleasures. Because my extra pleasures included going to 7-Eleven, and I would buy these little glass bottles called Vit C, or vitamin C, or Double C is the brand maybe. And they had like orange lemon, raspberry flavor. I love those things, and it contained 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C, so I was drinking healthy things. Um, those were only 16 baht per bottle, which is about 48 cents. So I bought those most days. So I just kind of factored I spent maybe like $15 a month on vitamin C drinks. Um, that was my morning pleasure. The daily pleasures, Pui, who I was with, really loved iced lattes. I did enjoy them too, but I was really wanting to go there for all the fruit and the fruit smoothies. So most days, not every day, we would usually go out and maybe after a meal or at night or whatever, we'd get an iced latte or a smoothie and kind of share them between each other. Just got a haircut and decided to get some coffee and a smoothie. Please taking pictures of me. But iced lattes you could find probably between like 60 to 85 baht on the upper end. So I think I maybe like pretended maybe like 75 baht and like averaged, and then we maybe bought them like 20 days out of the 30 days. Like 2/3 of my first month there, maybe we'd buy, because it wasn't every day, but it was most days. So that was maybe around $42, give or take, for iced lattes. And the fruit smoothies were between like 40 baht at the cheapest. You could find some really good deals on smoothies there. Up to like 80 baht, some of them, maybe a little more, depending on the places you're at. I think I did the middle again, around 70 baht or something, about 20-ish days. That was still like 36 to $40 a month. That I was calculating for my extra pleasure type expenses, which are still kind of food related, but wasn't every day. Food is usually every day. So you can kind of calculate for yourself. That's just the cost per plate. I would say between 65 to 120 per plate. If you're dining for two, expect maybe like 250 to 350, somewhere in that budget. So all in all, I kind of just did the rough estimate total here. Without the airfare and transportation, because that'll determine when you book your ticket, you could save a couple $100 more. But without the airfare, I spent roughly $1,200 for that month. And that would include the accommodation, the $670 at the Airbnb, all the food I ate, some of those extra luxury expenses with the iced lattes and the fruit smoothies. That was the rough estimate total. Now with airfare, like I said, you're going to tack that on at the beginning. It ended up being around like $2,700 because I spent like $1,400 for the round trip ticket, all those other little extra transportation costs and expenses. That's just what it was with airfare. So if you're planning a trip to Thailand, I know for your first time, you're like, oh, I don't know if I want to overstay. I don't think that you could, as long as you mix up locations at least. Like 1 month in Pattaya is probably enough to understand if you like it or not. Would I go back? Absolutely. The food there is amazing. The transportation is one of the best in that country. Just riding the 10 baht tuk-tuks, the baht buses that go north and south, easy. So everything's just super accessible there. Plus you have a diverse community of people all over the world. It's a little busy sometimes, maybe just because of the time I was there, but not as busy as Bangkok. So if you like the city, if you like nightlife, if you like food, it has all that, but it also has a lot of like sightseeing, beautiful beaches, locations. Take a trip to Koh Lan from the ferry. I have a few videos I've put out already on that. So it's a very beautiful place. I would love to travel to other areas just to see if there are other cities like that are maybe smaller but have somewhat of that easy transportation thing. And maybe it won't be a big deal if I just get my motorcycle license, pick an island or something. Because traveling around on Koh Lan was a lot of fun. And you definitely need a motorcycle to really see the full island on over there. If you have any more questions, this is just the generic cost of what it would be to travel to Thailand in the month of December during a high season. I'm gonna have more videos coming out about what it's like in Bangkok, what it's like in rural Thailand, up in the middle of Lopburi. I have a lot more stories to share, so if you have questions about how to make your trip possible, what to plan or expect, feel free to reach out. I'm also going to be starting a members channel, exclusive content releases on my Discord, because I did shoot a few videos while I was there that I know I can't put on YouTube. That would get me in trouble. So if you're interested in more personal videos, but also stuff that can't be talked about publicly, be sure to check out my Discord link below. Leave your questions below in the comments. Thank you for watching. Don't stop chasing the escape. Greener grass is definitely out there.